She's funny, she's smart, she craves chocolate every day, and she is the Greek goddess of comedy. Here is your host, Ellen Karis.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Karis's Comedy Corner. My name is Ellen Karis, and you are listening to the guest edition of Karis's Comedy Corner, where I have a spectacular guest today. I told you it's worth the wait. But before we get started, we have to do the ads. Our first sponsor is Baywalk Marketing. Go to their website, baywalk.net, for all of your advertising and marketing needs. They can help you with any kind of a flyer. They can help you with your social media. They're also experts in the Greek community. Go to their website, hollywoodgreeks.com, for all of your Greek entertainment needs, and HellenicFestivals.org to find out where there is a Greek festival near you, and they have been happening. So please do not end the year without having a souvlaki, latza pasticcio, and lukmathas, which are those fried donuts that don't even think about the calories. They're delicious. Our other sponsor is Select Flex. What is it? It's an orthotic. What's an orthotic? It's also called an insert, and you put it in your shoe or your sneaker. And what makes these different than any of the other ones that are over the counter is that there is an adjustability in the arch where you can adjust the arch firm, or extra firm, depending on what your needs are. If you go to their website, selectflex.com, there is a 30-second video that will show you how these work. I have these in every pair of my shoes. I would never work out without them. And for Karis Comedy Corner listeners, there's a 25% discount if you type in the code FAMILY25, FAMILY 25, because I feel like you, my listeners, are my family, except I don't fight with you as much. So please go to their website, selectflex.com, and we thank them for all of their support. Get it? All right. I am very excited about our guest today. Wow, does she have a career? I don't know where she found time to, work on television for many years, be a host of many morning shows, entertainment reporter, get married, of course, to a wonderful man, have two beautiful daughters, and somehow in between all that, being a full-time mom, also is the author of 3 published books. And I found out, because I did my crack research, that she is actually writing a 4th book, which we will talk about. So without further ado, please welcome my guest, author, Laurie Gelman. Yes, thank you.
Thanks for that nice intro. I was like, wow, who are you talking about?
You, my dear. Okay, I don't know how you do everything that you do, but it is incredibly impressive. And I did get to meet you in person, and you're so sweet and so lovely. And I'm really in awe. I think it's great. You're like living your life. And you wrote these fabulous books, which I want to get to shortly. But you are from originally Canada, Ottawa, which I have done comedy shows at. And I'm going to tell you that Canadian audiences, I say this all the time, are the best audiences. They are so chill. They just want to come out. I don't know if it's because it's cold and you're in a lot. I don't know. I don't care. All I know is they're not politically correct. They are just so happy for live entertainment. I've been to Montreal, Toronto a bunch of times. Even I did a comedy show in Regina, which I know is quite the name for a town.
Yeah.
But I did.
Ellen, it's the booze. That's
is it
fueled by beer? Yes, they laugh at everything, and they're the greatest audiences in the world.
So nice. But yeah, Ottawa, I went to twice. They were Greek events. By the way, tons of Greeks in Canada, tons. So, so thank you. That your whole country is lovely, and I always love going up there. We're just waiting because of COVID, and the restrictions were like super restricted.
Yeah, they're not messing around up there. They don't want the Americans going up and polluting their air up there. Right. I actually am going in 2 weeks. I'm going for Canadian Thanksgiving.
Oh,
so
nice.
I'm a little bit excited for that. Yeah, I haven't seen my family in about 18 months, so it'll be exciting to go up and see everybody.
Wow, that's amazing. So when you were right out of college, you became a reporter, a journalist. Like, what was sort of your career path? How did it all start? How did you wind up on TV?
It's a great story, actually, because I started in radio as a traffic reporter, and I was basically the newsroom dog that people kicked when they were mad. Like I would do everything in the newsroom and sometimes weekend traffic. And the entertainment reporter called one day and said, I'm supposed to interview this guy. He's starting a network called YTV. Could you please? I'm sorry. I don't know where that came from.
We love it. We love it. We love it.
Yeah, that's the real life.
That's see, multitasking. And I guess I failed to mention that the Gelmans have a dog. So that's just another something breathing that Laurie Gelman takes care of during her day when she's between writing books.
Yes, I'm multitasking. Billy's the best thing that ever happened to us. Oh. Anyway, back to how I got into TV, because it's kind of interesting. The entertainment reporter at the radio station I was working at called and said she's stuck in traffic and she has this man coming in, the president of this new network, YTV, which is basically like youth television, like Nickelodeon. Mm-hmm. Starting up, and would I do the interview off mic and then she'll put the questions in later. So I did. I sat down with this guy, Kevin Shea, and I did the interview. And afterwards, and I was like 26. And afterwards he said, hey, are you happy here? Or do you think you'd want to come work for us at YTV? And I was like, oh, I don't know. I thought maybe as his assistant or something. He said, no, I think you'd be perfect to host this nightly video show. It's one of those crazy, found me at the drugstore counter situations. Just 2 weeks later, I went from being newsroom grunt to hosting my own national talk show or music video show, basically.
And that's the great part about being so young, is because you just do it and you don't think about it and you don't dwell on it and you just dive in, and whatever happens, happens. And again, you're young, so you have less about I care kind of thing. When I think that's
lose. It's like, what, I'm going to go, not go to a better paying job that, gives me national exposure to something I really wanted to do. Like, it was actually it was a no-brainer.
And then what happened from there?
So I did YTV for about 4 years. And then I got an agent down in the US and I was offered a job in Miami. First as a sports reporter, which I turned down. And then they said, well, what would you like to do? And I said, well, I kind of do entertainment. And so they hired me as their entertainment reporter. It's this great station in Miami called WSVN, real powerhouse Fox station down there. And I went down there, and that was my entry into the US. While I was there, I interviewed Regis Philbin and his producer, Gelman. And that's how I met Michael, who's my husband, who's from that show. And a couple months after I met them, I got randomly a job offer in New York to work at FX, because FX was starting up as a brand new network. I'm big in the brand new networks. Everybody wants me for.
You're like groundbreaking. Everything that you're doing is
never
been done before.
Yeah, exactly.
I have to ask you. So, what was it like? I mean, Canada, Toronto, Miami can't get any different. It's just weather, people, vibe. What was that like? How did you tell your family? How were you okay with it, or everybody just supported?
It was a huge move. There could not be more difference between Canada and Miami, and not just the weather, just the way people live their life. Being in America was a big deal. It was working in this local news as opposed to working on a network show or whatever, even if it was a small network and being at cable. I learned a lot. My learning curve was and within the first 2 months of me moving there, we had Hurricane Andrew, which back then was one of the most devastating hurricanes of 1992.
I think, yeah.
1992. It was brutal. So I had to, all of a sudden, I'm on the air doing, live shots from it, and which is not my thing and not anything that I was prepared for. But you get thrown into the deep end of the pool and you got nothing more that you can do than swim. You just have to make the best of it. So I did.
You're obviously an incredibly quick learner. I love the fact that I didn't realize that you met your husband, and as soon as I say who he is, everybody's going to know Michael Gelman, the executive producer for the esteemed Live with Kelly and Ryan show. That show, I have to give him especially, and anybody that was with him in the beginning, such credit. I assume that they've broken records for longest shows, most episodes, all kinds of things, because it's been consistent since '83 when it was called The Morning Show. And then it became national.
And Cindy Garvey, right?
Cindy Garvey, and Regis had went through a few hosts until ultimately became Kathy Lee. I think it was '85, and then '88 they became national, and then it morphed, and then our wonderful, lovely, who we adore, Kelly Ripa came on. So 20, I think it's been about 20 years, and now she's with Ryan, and I really am in awe of the way that show has, number one, stood the test of time, because it still has like it has like a little bit of a throwback of where it was. It's got some nostalgia in it, but obviously it has lived up to the times, and
it stays relevant. And I think that they really try hard to make sure that it stays relevant, because that's the only way to survive. Michael's the last man standing. I mean, he's really, started with Kathy Lee and Regis, and now it's Kelly and Ryan. And so he's the main thread through the whole thing. So I'm glad that you appreciate that about him, and that he has sort of held it all together, because taking nothing away from the hosts, because they're all extremely talented. He's sort of the glue behind the scenes, and he and his staff, by the way, who have all been there for so long. You'd think that, they would. I think the newest person has been there 7 years. Like, they just never leave.
Well, they do talk about it is like a family. I have been to the show many times. It is like a family. It really is in smaller quarters. People, unless you go there, they have a few floors of offices. It's not some big lot in Hollywood. We're New Yorkers, so it's, you pass by it. It's on 66th Street. It really is remarkable. I do know Laurie Schulweis as well, so I know. And if you watch the show, Shully, and they've been through everything, and they've been through great times, and they've been through tragedies, and there are not really enough words to describe how extraordinary that it is. It looks.
It's been on for 35 years. That says it all. I mean, people just have not been bored with it, and they keep coming back to it. It's been number one most of those years. It's been the number one daytime talk show. So that's just, credits to them.
When you watch the show, you think, oh wow, this is easy, and that is a testament to how great they are, because it is so not easy.
Yes,
so
correct.
Live television and the preparation and it being every day. So anyway, kudos. And you are a part of it. You've been on the show. And let's face it, when you're whoever you're married to, you become part of that job as well.
I'll never forget the first time I was mentioned by Regis, and he was a big guy. Goes, oh, we went out with Gelman and his new girlfriend. He had to tell the whole story about what was, and I was just completely like, oh, because everybody then, like, if you ever got mentioned on the show or ever get mentioned on the show, you get 100 phone calls or texts or whatever it is you get saying, oh my God, Regis mentioned you this morning, or Kelly said something about you, or it's so funny. The reach of that show is just crazy. So you met Michael, and then what wound up happening? Is that why you wound up staying in the States, or it was really more job and he just came along? He came along with it. But it was definitely I interviewed him in Miami. That's the first time we met.
That's great.
And then he went back to New York. We've been together, by the way, since the day we met. So, we really liked each other. He went back to New York. I stayed in Miami, but we kept in touch. We saw each other, quite a few times. And then I wasn't even looking for a new job, and I just happened to be offered this job in New York. And I called Michael, and, we'd been dating for like 4 months. And I'm like, guess what? I'm moving to New York. And he was like, you're not moving here for me, are you? And I was like, jerky, I've been moving there for the 6-figure job, but thank you for letting me know you're going to be there for me. So, I mean, it took him, a few months to get used to the idea that I was actually here. So we, we saw each other every other weekend and a couple of days during the week. But then all of a sudden, by the end of that summer, when I moved up here, we were together and have been ever since.
That is so great. You've been married 20 years-ish? 21 years. And you have
28.
And you have two beautiful daughters, Jamie and Misha, right?
Yeah.
Misha, I've seen him on the show. Now, is Jamie in college?
She is. She's at USC, living life and loving it, every minute of it, as a California girl.
Wow. Your family is really spreading the map, Canada, Miami, California. And then Misha, is she a senior?
She's a senior in high school. So we're looking for colleges for her now, it's just the worst. This is just the worst time.
The process, but you've gone through it already once before.
I know, but it doesn't make it any easier the second time because I don't know. Do you have children? I'm sorry, I don't know.
No, it's okay. I am married. We don't have children, but we have nieces and nephews, and we're Greek, so we're very involved in everybody's life,
right.
With the godparents and all that. So I do, although I'm not the mother, I'm not in the front line, but
right.
I get sucked into the vortex. So
you think you did such a good job with your first kid, and then so you go, oh, well, let's have another one because we're really good at this, and it comes out so different that you're like, what was I eating in my pregnancy? I mean, it's the same mix, it's the same cocktail, but it comes out a completely different drink, and so getting Jamie through the process was one thing. Getting Misha through is an entirely new ordeal for us.
Mm-hmm. And you raised your children, you obviously got very involved in their school life, hence your books that I want to talk about, and I'm trying to do a good angle so I can so I don't screw this up. I rehearsed this.
Spines.
Class mom,
right?
You've been volunteered. I love these books. I can't. Yoga Pant Nation. Okay, I'm sorry I had to lean like that. I'm assuming that your real life has been the inspiration for all of this. And before we talk about it, I just want people to know that don't let the word mom fool you, because I'm not, technically I'm not a mom, aunt and godmother, but I'm not a mom. I love these books so much because this is also for people that don't know how to say no. And that's me. And that is Jen Dixon. I related to this so much. So I love these books. I love her sense of humor. It's totally my sense of humor, snarky, sarcastic. And she reminds me so much of me because I am always disheveled. And which, again, I don't have kids. I should look my best all the time, and I don't. So I really related to her. And sometimes when obviously over the years and years, but I'll just say this one example. I'll be at church, okay, when Greek church is usually a Sunday and starts at 10. And I will see a mother, a young, a young lady, and she is gorgeous, beautiful hair, perfect makeup, perfect, everything perfect. And she's got two kids, maybe one is, maybe sometimes she has three, sometimes she's holding a baby, and she'll maybe have a 4-year-old and let's say a 6-year-old. The figure is great, like everything looks great. I'm like, and I'm looking at my watch, like it's 10 o'clock. Like, how does this happen? What is going on? But there are women like this, and there are women like that in your book where they're together. I love all the characters in this book, and I'm hoping that this is going to be a TV show of some sort.
Oh, me too. You and me both, Ellen. I'll tell you. It's funny. There are those perfect moms. I call them unicorns because, like, what? Like, no body fat on you after 3 kids? How in God's name is that possible? But there's them and there's them. The rest of us are just sort of, trying to make it work, going to the gym, trying to figure it out. But yeah, Jen Dixon she's my alter ego, and I just love her. I'm not as brave as her, and I'm not as funny as her, but I just adore her as a person. And she said all the things that I would have wanted to say, although I have to tell you, the emails in our books are verbatim to emails that I sent out as a class mom.
So I love that. For a very short period of time, because I teach Sunday school and I am going on my 14th year. My nieces are grown already. I did it because of my nieces and they were young and I wanted to show a good example. My sister and although I took the older kids. And now there's no reason really for me to do it anymore, but I can't let go. So again, totally relating to Jen Dixon. But let's get to like where the moment that you realized that you wanted to write about this. Great class, your first book.
It was, I knew I wanted to write a book when I turned 50, and I was, trying to find my third act and figuring things out. And I knew I needed a creative outlet. So I thought I'd write a children's book. That did not turn out well at all. And while I was having lunch with my agent, Paul Fedorko at the time, and he was letting me down easy, telling me that 47 publishers basically said no to my children's book that I had written. And I got a call, and it was from a parent who couldn't remember when their conference time was. So they called me. And, so I sort of got off the phone and I went, oh, these freaking parents. And I was going on. And he started laughing and he said, that's your book. And I said, really? Like, why would I write about this? It's so frustrating. And then, so I put it in the back of my head. And then I got fired from being class mom because of the salty emails I was writing. And so once that happened, I sat down. It was the revenge book of the century. I sat down and went, oh yeah? And I wrote everything out that I wanted to say.
Wow. So what was your process? So, I mean, because, you've got your daughters who are at this point, like teenage, right? Yeah. Young.
Still in high school at this point. Yeah. Okay.
They still need you. So
yes, but like all day, I'm alone all day, and I didn't have a dog at the time. So I was just, me and the apartment. And after I did my housework and went to the gym, I was like, okay, I need something to do here.
So what is your process? And I'm asking also for a specific reason. So I have tried for the last 10 years to write a book, and it's had 70,000 iterations. It was going to be this, it was going to be that. And now I'm basically writing a book about, trying to write a book about how to be a failure, because that's really what it's amounted to, is that I can't even reach sub parity. So I'm trying to get a little bit more personal about it. But my question to you is, how did you get the discipline? Because trying to go through this myself and doing, everything else at the same time, did you just, I don't know, go to your terrace, go to a quiet space? Like, how did you do it? Did you commit like every day I'm going to write from, 2 to 4? Well, what was your process?
Well, it evolved because I was stupid new guy and I was never written a book before. So I was like, oh, that's funny. And I'd write it down, maybe spend 10 minutes and then I'd be off doing something else. And it took me 3 years to write the first book, because it wasn't until about 1.5 years into the book that my agent was like, how many pages did you write today? And I said, I couldn't write any today. I had to go bake cupcakes for the whatever. And he was like, Barbara Taylor Bradford has 5 children and she does 10 pages every day. And I'm like, well, good for Barbara Taylor Bradford, but that's not me. But what he made me realize is you have to treat it like a job. It is something that you have to go to and be expected to show up to every single day between this time and this time. And you make that time for yourself, and you never call in sick. You just don't. And I couldn't write in the apartment because there's too many distractions. So I wrote most of the book at the Starbucks at 88th and Broadway. But I find anywhere that you can find Wi-Fi, mm-hmm. and you can sort of get into a zone and be out of your living element, that's the best place to write.
Yes, home is very distracting, I'm finding, for things like that. For something that's
it was literally, I'd get up, I'd go to the gym, I'd pick up a Starbucks or whatever, or I would go to Starbucks and I would write for 3 hours every single day. And even if I didn't feel like writing, I would rewrite, or I would correct my spelling, or I would correct punctuation. Like I would just keep rereading whatever I'd written so that I could, get going forward. And it
So
worked.
when did you have a manuscript for your first one?
2016 sometime in 2016, I guess.
So finally, so obviously went through the editing process and all that. I'm trying to, like I said, trying to do this.
There it is.
I love the covers, by the way. I love the colors. Finally it comes out. It's so funny. Everybody, you have to read this series. It's a quick read. It's slow enough where I can, I laugh in bed. Okay. And
my books are like 3 quick trips to the bathroom and you are done with my book.
It's quick, but it's entertaining, and it's like enough. It's quick, but it's rich because you do such a really great job of describing your characters. So like I have them in my head, especially now, after you read the first book, certainly when you get into the second book. By the third book, they're your neighbors. Kay and Ray and they're all that Vivs, and they're all your neighbors. You feel like you live in this town in Kansas City or Kansas, and which is very funny because you wrote a sort of a caveat in one of the books from, I guess, people from Kansas were sending you emails.
How dare I call them
you?
Like the center, the heart of the Midwest or whatever. I forget what, but it was funny for them to be we're not every town America. I'm like, okay, but sorry, but you kind of are. So, but here, let me just tell you, because I didn't know what I was doing writing. I mentioned it before. I was a stupid new guy. Then I figured out how to write the book. When it got to my editor, the editing is the magic. Okay, the magic is in the rewriting. Nothing comes out of you the first time around and is pure gold. Believe me. My editor would say things like, I really love the character of Vivs, but I don't know what she looks like. And I'm like, oh, you mean I have to explain what she looks like? I mean, all these little things. And when you talk about her kitchen counter office, like, what does it actually look like? Where, what is it? What's in there? And so she's like, your descriptions were just really slim. So I had to go back and rewrite all those. And actually in Class Mom, they asked me to add in an entirely new plot line. Like they liked the book the way it was, but they figured she needed a little more calamity in her life. So they asked me to add in another roadblock for her. And it was probably the hardest thing I've ever done, because you basically bake an apple pie and hand it to them. And they say, oh, we love apple pie. This is great. But you know what would go really good in this book? A slice of chocolate cake. So, or do you know what I mean? Like you'd have to like, all of a sudden I have this pie and then they want a slice of cake to go seamlessly into this pie. So it took me about 4 months to do all the rewrites and stuff.
Wow, I'm sweating just thinking about it.
You can do it. I'm going to tell you right now, you can do it. You have to believe in yourself. You have to set the time aside, and you have to believe that the rewriting is where the magic begins. I think it's Chelsea Handler says, I write drunk and I edit sober. And yeah, it's a good tip.
That's great. She's hilarious. So the book comes out. I mean, how exciting was that?
Yeah, it was stressful and exciting. It was one of the biggest things that had happened to me in years, like since I had my kids. And I was just, again, didn't know what to expect, didn't know what was going on. Everybody around me knew. So, the whole company was like, the New York Times is going to review you. And I'm like, don't they review everybody? They don't know. They're like, no, they don't. And as I found out, they do not. So that was exciting. And then when they gave it a really good review, that was even more exciting. The momentum from that was fantastic. And I had really never planned to write a second book, but when they asked me to, I thought, these characters are still living in my head. Jen's story is not finished, and neither is Viv's story or Laura's story, like her kids and everything else. So that's what made me get to the number 2. And then I thought, well, number 3 will be the last one. And then they came back and asked me. So I just finished the 4th book.
Okay.
I'll send it to you if you want to read it.
Laurie Gelman will be also in her spare time doing a course, a masterclass on just getting things done, period. Just getting things done. That's okay. So that's incredible. So you got Class Mom, you sit down, you write, you've been volunteered. I mean,
Based on my, look, if you look at the picture, the author picture is me on safety patrol.
Yes. So again, I'm going to try. Yes, it's right here. It's hilarious. I've seen this. I've seen this on Instagram. So you actually, and I have to tell you, I'm neurotic. So cars and kids scare me horribly. I was always with the kids. Watch out, be careful, be careful. Yeah. So there was moments where me personally, because I'm, a nervous Nelly, when I was reading this, I was like, gee, she sounds a little too relaxed to be safety patrol. But she got through it. But that was great too, because that's, so we live in the city, so we don't really get that as much. But that's a very big thing in the suburbs, outside of.
Yeah, in the city we have where we just patrol the neighborhood. We don't have the crossing signs and stuff like that. But there are crossing guards in the city, obviously. But yeah, in the suburbs is where I grew up. It's big thing to be in safety patrol.
And I just want to tell you, that's a bit of an homage to my grandfather, he was a waiter, but later on in his life, he was a crossing guard in Fort Lee, New Jersey. He loved it.
Kids every morning, they say hi to you. It's so great.
And it was great for someone like him also, in the morning, go home, come back, it was the kids loved him. He had his little uniform on. Oh my goodness. But this was also great. I love the way she tried to get people to volunteer, and I love the way people like skated out of their obligations. I mean, you must have heard every excuse in the book.
As a former, class mom and volunteer, that happens all the time. You get the last minute phone call like, oh, I can't make it. I can't bring the bagels this morning because so-and-so has a sore throat. It's like, okay, you sort of have to rally around that. But the whole volunteer thing is it's a whole.
And especially, I know, because my sister did do the class mom thing for I think both of her daughters. I don't know. And I used to come to all of the little parties and all the events. I mean, it was always a big thing. Food is also the huge deal. And now, as opposed to when we grew up, okay, with all of the allergies, that's a whole different ballgame. I went to Greek parochial school. We had peanut butter all the time. Nothing happened to Staphylococcus. Okay, nobody grew up.
I don't know why we didn't all die when I was a kid because of all the things that we had in class every day.
Right, exactly. So then you've been volunteered. That comes out. Okay, so now you have like a set. And then Yoga Pant Nation. So how did you get inspired with that to make that? Because that has another different twist to it.
Right. Well, what happened was I figured we would get max out of primary school, which is elementary school, which is what we call it here. So I thought, okay, I'll do one more. He'll be in 5th grade. That'll be the end of it. Then next year he'll go to middle school. We don't even know what's going to happen to him there. But so we wanted to sort of wrap things up, her time as a class mom, because after elementary school, you really don't have class parents anymore. They just don't have them. So it was nice for her to have a little bon voyage and to go out on a high note, with a record breaking, well, I won't say it, never mind it, in case anybody has to read the book. It's a cliffhanger. But she's in charge of the school fundraiser, which is, I always say like class mom is the worst job, and no, being in charge of the safety patrol is the worst job, but actually being in charge of fundraiser is the crap icing on the crap cake.
So as a comedian, I'm on the tail end of that. So I get hired to do fundraisers.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm not obviously quite in the weeds as you all are, but I do get the remnants of what it's like and a fundraiser and selling tickets, and people committing and buying the tickets and wanting.
Well, you're going back to the same well every single year. I mean, it's really hard to make money because people are. When I was on that committee, it was like you do it one year and you ask all your friends and everybody you know, and the girl that works at Prada is going to get you a bag. And but to have to go back the next year and ask again, it's hard to ask once. To ask, just keep asking is horrible.
Right,
it's really
right.
hard.
Right. And what I love about Yoga Pant Nation, and you can't, I'm wearing yoga pants.
As am I.
They'll stretch on the waist. So now this one, because this one I feel came out really quick. And did you,
when 2 years between each book?
2 years? Oh gosh, yeah. because time's going by and I'm not doing anything with my life. This one is great because years are going by. Years are going by in our real life. Years are going by in your books. Yeah. And I love how you have the years going by in Jen's life. She's got parents. She's got grown daughters. There's a new addition to the family, right. And it's real life. It's real great. By the way, I just want to say too before I forget. For some reason, I picture Ron as like Matthew McConaughey. Like I picture this like the perfect man, like the perfect looking man.
I always thought Ron had dark hair and it's not curly. Mm-hmm. And he's a little more built up than Matthew McConaughey.
Right.
But he can be whatever you want, Ellen. He can be anything. I think Such a Fox from the first book is more Matthew McConaughey.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that guy. Yeah. I didn't know where that was going by. I was like, don't do it. People, you have to read these books. It's so fun. And also, I mean, I can't talk enough about it. We'll wrap it up, but you know what's great, and I have to thank you for it. There's so much shit. There's so much bad news. There's so much negativity. There's so many people arguing. There's people breaking up. There's all kinds of things that are happening. And I love that your books in particular, it's like a respite. It's sort of like watching live, because you
right. It's a little bit of happiness in an otherwise great
throwback, a little when things were not as chaotic. Right. And I love it, which is very, very enjoyable. And so your next book, which is that Smells Like Tween Spirit? Is that the title?
Because Max is now in middle school.
Hilarious.
He's in 7th grade and he's decided he wants to join the wrestling team. So Jen has to become a mat mom. She's not a class mom anymore, but she's now one of the mat moms that supports the team. And I'm having so much fun writing this one. It's like bigger kids, bigger problems. And it just gets really funny with the parties and girls and puberty and everything that's going on. I'm having so much fun. Yeah.
So, but you have 2 daughters, and so and boys and girls are just wired differently. Their issues are different. The whole thing. So, where did you get? Because Max is a boy. So, where did you get some advice about that? And it's funny because I'm thinking about Kelly because her youngest Joaquin was
right. Kelly was actually really helpful with the wrestling stuff for Joaquin. With I got on the phone with her for about an hour and she told me a lot of great interesting facts, but also funny stories about Joaquin's wrestling. But there's a producer on live by the name of Jan Chalet.
Oh yeah,
and he has 2 boys, and she has been a never-ending source of boy drama for me. Like starting when they were little, going up through all the stages, and her boys are her older boy is the same age as my younger daughter. So we've sort of come up together in the ranks, and she's just been so helpful because you're right, boys are a whole other universe. I have no idea what's going on with them.
And now, when is that book? Do you think that'll be out?
This summer. It's a quick turnaround.
Wow.
Yeah, so for the first time, I'll have books out back to back in the summer. So I don't know how that's going to work out. That was somebody else's decision, not mine. But I'm hoping it works.
So, and you do also book signing, book readings. I know I wanted to come too. You were out in the Hamptons. You were at Isaac Boots's.
Yes. Yeah, that was so
workshop.
fun. Yeah, I did. I try to go. You know what else I love to do is book clubs. If people reach out to me or DM me, I will almost always, either if it's in the city or anywhere near the city, I will go to the book club. But otherwise, I'll zoom in on a book club. I really enjoy talking about the books with people who've read them, and I love hearing other mothers' stories. I mean, that's one of the biggest things when I go out is people are like, "Oh, I loved your book. Let me tell you what happened to me." And they all have like something they want to unburden themselves of. And a lot of times I'll say, "Oh my gosh, that's a great story. Can I use that?" Because I'm only one woman who's had only so many experiences. Right. And sometimes I've actually used like 2 or 3 stories from other women about, things that have happened to them.
There's such a plethora, especially also when you get into, because you're going to do this now in your next book, the sports world.
Oh my gosh. I have been involved with the sports world, but only for girls. So really it has been an eye-opener to hear about what the stuff that the boys go through, and their insecurities and their, but also like the disgusting, especially for wrestling. That's really gross, the stuff that they go through. And the diseases they get, it's like, blah.
Right. I like that you chose wrestling, because that's really very primal and very contact, obviously.
Yeah, I was gonna do hockey, and then I thought, let's do something different. And I don't feel like wrestling is overdone anywhere, so I thought I'd try my hand at that.
And we will wait to see what happens with Jen and what because Jen has her own aspirations. So as we saw in Yoga Pant Nation, she went on to do something, and which I loved, because she's also trying to find herself, I feel, as well.
Ben and I are going on the same journey. Ben and I are definitely on the same path. We're feeling, whenever I talk about how, my stomach is not what it was, and how I can't lose this last 10 pounds no matter what I do. I mean, Jen goes through that. I go through that. We all go through it. It's a rite of passage. Oh, right. And yeah, it really is. And I do, I work out. I'm tiny, but everything is not where it was. So it's not like, I'm not saying I've gained 50 pounds, obviously, but which I can't because I'm so short, but it's just, why is it rearranged? No, it's all shifted.
It's all and no matter what you do, and I work out every day too, I do the whole thing, you know what I mean? And eating wise, if I ate like this in my 20s, I would have been a triathlete, okay? But I waited till I was 170 to, start eating clean. It's just not fair, but anyway, it is what it is, I guess. But my gynecologist said you have to stop. My gynecologist said you have to stop eating off a dinner plate and start eating off a salad size plate. I was like, what? Your whole dinner on like this little plate? She said, if you want to get portions right. There's a concept of as you get older, you eat less. And I'm like, who told you that? Like, where did that come from? As a matter of fact, I'm hungry more. I need to eat my feelings more because I got more disappointments. Oh my gosh, you've been such a delight. Thank you for taking the time. I know you're so busy. Ellen, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. I'm a big fan. I'm a huge fan. And I can't wait till your next book. Thank you for entertaining me and giving me so much enjoyment. And my pleasure. Believe me. And I have to tell you, I think books are great. I think reading is great. I realize you have ebooks as well, but I love, as you can see, I love a book, and then you can pass it to somebody. You can donate it to the library if it's a space issue. But I love turning the pages. I love the getting into the bed, the bookmark. I don't do it enough. And when I do go on a bit of a reading run, my brain feels better. Like I feel smarter. So I highly recommend reading and absolutely getting this set of books. It'll make a great Christmas / Hanukkah gift, as the holidays will be here before we know it. It'll come in
Thanksgiving
what?
Thanksgiving
Yes,
year?
Thanksgiving, all of it, Canadian Thanksgiving. Wherever you need to bring a gift,
Right.
makes a great gift on. Just give us your Instagram handle and wherever else we can find you.
I am LaurieGelman.com is my website. Laurie Gelman on Instagram, Laurie Gelman on Twitter, Laurie Gelman on Facebook. I'm not a mystery.
Okay, great. Okay, you do a lot of Instagram, and then you just
Yeah, I
post
do
it over.
Instagram and Facebook, not so much Twitter.
Yeah, me too. Twitter's like news, I feel.
Yeah, and I'm not breaking any news, let's face it.
Please, there's enough breaking news. And most of it is not that good. So we are all about being happy and spreading joy. And that is what Laurie Gelman has done. So again, highly recommend Class Mom. You've been volunteered, Yoga Pant Nation. And next summer, Smells Like Tween Spirit. I love that title. That's perfect. So we thank her very, very much. I am Ellen Karis. You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Greek Chick Comic, Ellen Karis, Greek Goddess of Comedy, my website, ellenkaris.com. We have this podcast and all of the other ones that we have done for 6 seasons. So tune in, subscribe. Thank you, everybody. God bless. Be well, be safe. Until next time. Bye.